Alright, I love this place. The problem is we don't take the time to experience everything it has to offer. My name is Noah. Come with me and let's explore a little bit of my hometown of San Diego.
Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Some places have gone, the places are rearranged. If you could read my mind, you know it's a crying shame. And I'm here to say something lost is something gained. So spend some time on the bright side. Take a ride till we find some daylight. It's a crime to use your hindsight. So take your time. We're coming back from yesterday.
The more I get out and the more I explore the different neighborhoods of San Diego County, the more I am continually blown away by the amazing history our town holds. Today, my trip into Chula Vista was no different. By far, the biggest surprise I found out was that at one time, Chula Vista was the lemon capital of the world. In fact, at its height, it supplied 1/7 of the entire world with lemons. Now that is amazing. It all started back in 1868 when a gentleman by the name of Frank Kimball bought up the entire area, which up until that point had only been used for cattle grazing. Determined to create an American-style agricultural community, Kimball needed two things: a rail to transport the product to distant markets, and a dependable source of water. Within 10 years, the Santa Fe Railroad had made its way into town, and in 1888, the Sweetwater Dam was completed, which also became the highest arch masonry dam in the entire country. Now that Kimball had what he needed, he joined forces with another gentleman named William Dickinson, and together the two developed Chula Vista into a hotbed of agricultural activity. One of the requirements to purchase land in Chula Vista was that you had to build a house within 6 months. This didn't seem to be a problem. Big plantation homes were built to overlook the miles of lemon groves. As I said, lemons were a huge deal. Big-time companies such as Sunkist set up shop and began packing and shipping off crate loads of their fresh-picked lemons. Chula Vista remained a leader in the lemon business well into the 50s, with the last plant closing in 1960. I love learning about the roots and the history of each neighborhood, and I found that the best way to do that is to visit the local historical society, and Chula Vista has a great one, the Chula Vista Heritage Museum. Inside, I met the museum director, Ada Dean, and history librarian, Donna Golden, who were both nice enough to show me around.
Welcome to the Chula Vista Heritage Museum, Noah, and I'll give you a little idea of what we do here. We're open 2 days a week from 1 to 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We tend to want to show the history of Chula Vista through exhibits. What we've been doing here for the past year is collecting items that we can show the history of Chula Vista in the 1890s through, I would say, the 1920s.
Okay.
And so we've got a beautiful bunch of artifacts, and plus I also, during the week, I'm the attendant of the museum when the folks come in.
The museum's not too big, but it's loaded with some very cool artifacts from way back when. As Ada mentioned, they like to show the history of Chula Vista through exhibits, and Donna showed me their latest.
I'd like to show you part of our new exhibit. These photos focus on different architectural periods in Chula Vista's history. We start with the Victorian architectural style, which is on this first panel, and we are featuring some of the most beautiful homes. They don't all exist. Some have been demolished. But
they are beautiful. So some of these still exist, though, here in
some
town?
still exist, yes. This first photo of the Carter residence is unique in that there is a window in the chimney and a unique ventilation system under the roof.
Okay.
And we don't know why the man is holding a rifle in his arms.
Yeah, that's a little odd, isn't it? Windows in the chimneys and rifles on the balconies tells me things were done a little differently back then. One thing's for sure, the homes were big and beautiful and spared no detail. It seems all the houses back then were huge and spread out. I like that. My time at the museum was great. In fact, the Heritage Home exhibit got me so fired up, I headed out to see one of those old homes for myself. You know, firsthand. And my search landed me here, the 1889 Frank House. It's called the Frank House after its original owners, Elizabeth and C.E. Frank. 119 years ago, the Franks built their dream house in the heart of Chula Vista. And today it's owned by Kareem McCall, who invited me in to show me around.
Welcome to the Garrettson Frank House, built in 1887 and totally restored in 1984. We moved this house. It was going to be torn down for condominiums. We bought it for $1.
Wow.
To save it from demolition, the owner felt a little bit guilty about tearing down the old place, and so we moved it to the back lot of this existing Victorian on 2nd Avenue. And the lot used to be a lemon orchard back in the early days of Chula Vista.
Wow, no kidding. You bought this place for $1?
For $1, yeah.
Wow, well, it definitely didn't look like this, huh?
No, it did not. In fact, it was a tenement. It had been turned into 4 apartments. There was a family in the living room. There was a taxi driver that lived in the dining room. And there were 2 apartments upstairs. So we've got like 4 apartments in this house.
No kidding. It's
Right.
a big house. This house is huge, and the rooms are beautifully decorated. But it wasn't always like that. In fact, when Corrine got the house, it was a mess. Then her vision of the possibilities compelled her to uproot the home and move it across town where it would be placed in the backyard of her childhood home, the McDonald House. Then the real work began.
Because it had been made into 4 apartments, we took it down to the bare studs, put a new electrical, new plumbing, and found the old original floor plan to replace the walls.
Wow, you guys put a lot of work into this.
Yes.
Corrine has done an incredible amount of restoring to get the home back to its original detail.
And this is the kitchen. Now this is where the original kitchen was, but when we got the house, it had been changed into a living room actually, and the kitchen was in the family room. So we restored it to its original location.
Okay.
And we tried to keep it with the keeping of the house with the glass cabinets, the leaded glass cabinets. And
It's beautiful. You've done a great job.
thank you very much.
From upstairs, the view was great and gave me a better idea of just how big some of these Chula Vista lots really are.
The palm tree, this was an existing palm tree. And we were able to move this house right down that narrow driveway
Right through there.
and save that tree. And then we brought the 3 front ones in. We imported those 3 palm trees. Yeah.
Okay. My tour continued outside where I was educated on the architecture. Everything from the side shingles to the gables, they all add so much character. And of course, my favorite part of the house. I love these wraparound porches.
Right. Actually, this porch was all enclosed when we saved it, when we moved it, but we uncovered all this original fretwork was underneath.
Really?
Right, all those are original posts, and they had all been covered up over the years, so we were fortunate to be able to retrieve them.
It's beautiful. Corrine said the Frank House was an example of conservative and style architecture. For me, it was just beautiful. As time went on, Chula Vista's farming community faded into history. Fortunately, the town was pretty well established by then. But even in the early days of Chula Vista, 3rd Avenue was the main hub, which contained Farrow's General Store, the post office, and a ticket booth for the railroad, which ran right through the middle of town. Today, 3rd Avenue